This isn't the usual place that I would film a video talking about Pokemon cards, and that's because if you've been following my journey, you know that I was recently in London competing at EUIC, one of the biggest Pokemon card tournaments in recent history. And while that was happening, while I was in tournament prep mode, a lot went down, and I just didn't have time to really sit down and talk with you guys about it. Now that that's done and dusted, and I'm here in southern Italy, Calabria, visiting family, I got a bit of downtime and I figured I'd catch up with you guys to talk about what's gone down the last few weeks. Namely, the Pokemon Company apologizing to the Japanese audience, Pokemon card players and collectors, the release of Clay Burst and Snow Hazard, and the astronomical price of Ino SAR, and that picture that literally everybody is talking about of the allegedly stolen Fusion Strike and Evolving Skies cards. So to kick it off, I guess Clay Burst did release, and yeah, I didn't really talk about that when it happened, when it got announced and when that Ino SAR got revealed, because I feel like we'd kind of already gone through it, really. Lo and behold, released, and I think it's selling for about 2,000 Australian dollars at the moment. Something ridiculous, but looking at like 200,000 yen. This was really to be expected, and I'm not really surprised. You guys really shouldn't be either. It's not even worth getting frustrated about at this point. I mean, for me, as a long-time or hardcore Japanese Pokemon card collector, I've learned to just accept it. Sometimes you just can't get every single card, and that's just how it goes. And it doesn't mean that it's okay, and it doesn't mean that it's not worth fighting against, or I guess trying to push back, not let it wash over all of us. But at the same time, there's only so much you can do. And as a content creator, I feel like I've done basically everything I can do to try and prevent it getting to this point. The good thing though, is that the Pokemon Company in Japan actually apologized for what's been going on with Japanese Pokemon cards. And I guess in the last, let's say since 2021, they've apologized in the past due to shortages with Pokemon cards. When Eevee Heroes released, that was probably the most intense it had ever been. And they put out a public statement basically saying, look, we're really sorry that things are the way they are. We're going to ramp production. We're going to do our best to make sure we can get Pokemon cards to you guys' hands. That was about 2 years ago now. Eevee Heroes released, May 2021? So we're sitting here at May 2023. Literally going through the exact same thing again. But this statement came out. It kind of slipped under the radar, which I was surprised about. Thank you, content gods. You gave me something to talk about that not everybody else has covered a million times over. But basically said the exact same thing. We know that there's no Pokemon cards at all. In the statement, they said explicitly, yeah, there's literally no Pokemon cards at all to sell you guys. And we're really sorry. But we're going to ramp up production again. We're going to strengthen it. And we're going to reprint sets that have come out recently. Now, this is all pretty logical stuff. I'm not really breaking news here. New sets come out. Scarlet Violet is a new block. Players need these cards in their hands. It makes no sense if they can't get a hold of them. So a reprint or stronger reprints was always on the cards for Japanese sets that come out in 2023. Especially with Worlds literally, 3 months away. We're going to have probably the biggest Pokemon card tournament, the biggest Worlds ever in Yokohama, Japan in the middle of August. It's a bit of a weird or embarrassing, sad look if the Pokemon centers don't have any stock to sell all the fans that have come through. So I think this reprint announcement, it's good, right? We're not saying it's bad. It's just expected, something that I guess a lot of us have harped on about, that they're going to fix it. But I think it's comforting to know that they've actually explicitly come out and said, hey, this is what is happening. We are aware of it, and we're going to do our best to make sure that it doesn't happen again. So overall, really good news. And I'm going to expect to see reprints for sets like, let's go back as far as V-Star Universe, because we've already seen V-Star Universe reprint at the Pokemon Center Japan, maybe like twice now. I mean, I've gotten boxes from Pokemon Center Japan twice. Granted, it's like 2 or 1 per person. It's better than 0. And it's at retail, which, no one's going to complain if they only get 1 box at retail. They're going to be pretty happy. If they get 2, they're going to be stoked. Also saw Paradigm Trigger set with the Lugia Altar got reprinted. I think I got that once. I think I got that twice actually. So that's like 2 sets that have been highly popular in the last year that have come through again. I wouldn't expect to see anything before Paradigm Trigger because Lost Abyss had a big thorough print. But I would fully expect to see Scarlet Violet EX get a reprint, Triplet Beat to see a reprint because those are the starts of new sets or new blocks. And of course Clay Burst and Snow Hazard. The Ino SAR, while she's a very popular character and we could go on all day about the waifu tax, the card is extremely playable. It's going to be one of the most, it's going to redefine the meta. I'm not even exaggerating. It's going to completely redefine the TCG meta as we know it now. So if players can't get a hold of those cards, it's going to be quite embarrassing. And on that topic, because I do want to talk about this, a lot of the time when that players can't get cards sort of discussion pops up, I always see the same kind of thing come through, the same kind of pushback in that statement, which is that players can just buy singles. And yeah, they can just buy singles, but the situation has gotten so out of hand that buying singles from these new sets, it's not financially viable anymore. Chien Pao, I don't know how to pronounce this Pokemon's name because I haven't gotten that far through Scarlet and Violet, is going to be a very strong new archetype in the TCG. And if you wanted to buy one of those, it's going to cost you about 800 yen right now. Same for the Ino Uncommon. This isn't the super rare or the special art rare. This is literally just the common version. It's also 800 yen. I recently bought a whole bunch of playables because I am playtesting at the moment as part of Busted, the tabletop TCG stream that you can watch at twitch.tv/OKJLove or at the OKJLove streams channel. I bought a whole bunch of cards that I want to use in my playtesting, and it cost me, I think it was 200 Australian dollars, which is sad. You know, in the past I used to be able to just open up these boxes, get bulk, because it literally is bulk because no English player is using Japanese cards, and then make my own decks, and I just can't do that anymore. So I think for players, the situation is really difficult right now because the boxes, you can't get them off the shelves, the boxes are expensive, it's pushed the price of literally everything up. You can't just say go buy singles anymore. It's not an answer. This is a pretty bad situation, but luckily, there's hope on the horizon. There's light at the end of the tunnel, so I think things are going to shift and get a little bit better. The statement coming through is just reassuring. It's good to know that they are aware of what everybody's going through. And it's got nothing to do with us, I guess, as international collectors. It is good to know that as a Japanese collector or player, things are going to kind of resolve themselves soon. It would be good if they could make a statement and talk about how distribution is completely cooked, but I'm not going to hold my breath there. However, having said that, on that topic of worlds, I fully expect something to change there, because if there is no stock or it's just one per person, the Pokemon centers are just going to be absolutely bone dry. So statement, good. Bigger statement would be better, but can't complain. On the topic of statements, I do want to talk about the Fusion Strike and Evolving Skies cards that were on that table. Everybody's seen the picture by now, and everyone's spoken about it a million times over. I'm going to put my 2 cents in here because I did want to talk about it. This is a perfect example of not talking about something or not weighing in, I guess, with definitive statements or opinions until a statement comes through. It would be great if TBCI would make a comment about this, but I don't expect them to, and that's because their investigation is still going on. I did see some people on Twitter talking about how it was strange that bigger creators aren't talking about this issue or this event that's popped up. And as someone who's been pretty vocal against bigger creators keeping quiet when stuff like this happens, I gotta say on this one, I'm kind of leaning towards just not talking about it. And that's because we don't know anything. All we know is that there is a picture. It was from a few years ago now, and it was leaked by a store or from a Facebook chat. It's all very convenient in a period of where there's literally nothing to talk about in regards to Pokemon cards because Scarlet Violet's come out and there's a big wait till Paldea Evolve drops. Yeah, I think a lot of creators were very happy to see this happen because it gave them something to create a video about. But what's there to talk about? There was a bunch of cards on the table. We don't know where they came from. We don't know whether they were sold or not. We don't know. It's all conjecture at this point. All we know is that there is an investigation going on. So there's really nothing to say except it was kind of weird. But I don't think in the grand scheme it really changed anything. You know, there's a whole bunch of hits on the table, but what's to say that their process at the manufacturing or packing facility didn't identify that at some point, and someone made a switch or a change to make sure that the right amount of hits were going into the right packs? We just don't know because we're not there at TBCI, so we can't claim one way or the other. I will say though that, you know, a stolen product with English sets just seems to be a thing, and people pick and choose when they want to talk about stolen product or what could be stolen product. At the start of the year, I made a video talking about some allegedly stolen Crown Zenith booster packs that were opened up by another creator, and upon reflection, and I have thought about this quite a little bit, I kind of regret making that video, and that's because there was no hardcore definitive evidence that those booster packs were stolen. Yeah, I had a pretty good feeling, and a bunch of other creators did too, but it was all conjecture and it was just based on a hunch. Yeah, it was content too, and there was a bit to talk about, but the whole thing kind of got out of hand and it became messier than it really needed to be. And while this situation doesn't impact anybody directly, except for maybe the person that leaked the photo, it could impact the investigation. So with this kind of stuff, I guess it's better to just sit and wait. And I'm willing to give TBCI the benefit of the doubt, and don't start calling me a shill, but I am willing to give them the benefit of the doubt, considering the Pokemon Company in Japan has made a statement about the shortages. If they do sit on their hands and stay quiet, I think it will get quite bad. That has been a bit of a trend with TBCI lately, not just from the collector space, but from the player space. But I have heard that things are going to change, that there is, change on the horizon, and it just takes time. So for this one, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, and I'm just going to sit and wait, because to do otherwise is just adding fuel to the fire and further complicating things. Besides, I think you guys are smart enough. You don't need me to tell you one way or the other what's happening. You can decide. Anyway, that's my quick update. I am trying to enjoy the time I am here with my family as much as I can, but I do miss you, and I wish I could pump out videos while I'm out here. I might do another one here or there, but until then, thank you so much for watching, and thank you to all the lovely people that I met at EUIC. You literally made my weekend what it was. Can't wait to meet more of you guys in the future at NAIC. Take care.